Well,
Piazza?
look, I try to remember that the day is going to come where in Detroit we may have a Bonds-like character. And not to be a hypocrite if and when it happens. I think the steroid era player is thought of. I mean, I think, hey, look, you cheated the game. You cheated the game, and people, the whole "what's the harm" argument. You know what I think of all the time? I think of the guy who didn't cheat the game that spent their career at AAA, that was roadblocked getting to the majors, and the guy in front of him was using performance-enhancing drugs. I'd say it's a decision, somebody who did something ethically and for the better interest of their health that probably cost them financially. I don't know. I mean, careers were definitely lengthened because of the performance-enhancing drug era.
Well, some were, and some were shortened because of it, depending on how the performance-enhancing drugs affected your body.
Yeah. But I would say that the benefits were...
Well, there were benefits to it, sure, absolutely. But nothing was ever proven with Pudge or Bagwell, right?
No, but I am conditioned to immediately think guilty.
Would you be conditioned to immediately think guilty of Frank Thomas, too? That was a big man.
Yes. Yes, baseball created a culture when the players' union fought against performance-enhancing drug testing, which I just found bizarre. When I think about what unions around the country do for the health and welfare of the people that they represent, right? They don't want their people in dangerous working conditions, right?
Right.
Baseball's players' union fought against drug testing. Not recreational drugs, performance-enhancing drugs that seem to be pretty risky, right?
Yeah.
It just seemed counterintuitive what a union should be doing. But, I mean, the union, I guess, does what the people that represent, usually what they want. We're going to get into a deep end of the pool here, but you know
They're
what
all
I mean.
Hall of Famers. Can't they just enjoy being in the Hall of Fame?
I have no problem with people being outed. No problem at all with people being outed.
Well, it's after the fact. It's not gonna change anything.
No, it's not, but I still don't have an issue with it. I think it's... Look, if you did it...
Yeah, but if you're just throwing out accusations and you have no proof...
I know.
I mean, other than your own, hey, I saw this guy do that. Well, okay, great, you saw it, but in today's world, you need more evidence than just that, than it's your word against theirs. And just shut up.
You probably do, but I've got... You know what I've done is I've moved away from benefit of the doubt when it comes to baseball players and performance-enhancing drugs. I think that was an era in which people did that a lot. And whether we're defending it or, you know, the whole due process thing, we're not throwing anybody in jail. But I would tell you my opinion is that if somebody says, I know for a fact they did it, I'm more inclined to believe the accuser, even though you're right. It's baseless accusations. Right. But that's what the sport has done to me. And
well, we are Facebooking live right now. Us on the 97.1 The Ticket page.
Yeah.
And Elgin says people say that PEDs saved baseball. Some people would say that.
Well, it was coming off a work stoppage, which was their own doing, by the way, their own mess, which, you know, canceled a World Series and, you know, ended a season prematurely. And that is horrifically embarrassing and bad for the sport. And it was right after that, the big home run chase, Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, became a huge story, and people were wowed by it. But, you know, I see why that argument is there. I just personally think, you know, that's the old two wrongs don't make a right. They did incredible damage to the game and then followed it up with.
There's that, but then there's also the accusations that baseball helped it along too because of the juiced baseball.
True.
Now, one could do potential harm to the body and the other doesn't, but yet they're both ways of cheating or enhancing, right?
Yep. All right, Gator. Two critical questions facing the Detroit Red Wings. One of them is a question that many people have heard and thought about themselves, and that is buy or sell. But the second question is sort of the widening of the lens, looking at the big picture. Question 2 is, who should be answering question 1? Should it be Kenny Holland or somebody else? I started thinking about this. There's many people that are already go with the punch button answer, somebody else. And if that's your opinion, that's fine, and we can get into the reasons why. And I'm probably not going to fight you too much on it either. I've got people in the game that talk to me about Kenny Holland, and I've got my own opinions of Kenny Holland. And if the Red Wings organization decides to move on from him, I'm perfectly fine with it. But here's the issue, is they've got parts to sell off, right? If Kenny Holland isn't making the decision, if Kenny Holland is relieved of his duties right now, who's making the decisions?
Chris Draper? I don't know, somebody else in the front office, obviously, but
yeah. And it's kind of it's an important season. It strikes me it's incredibly important to sell, but do you turn it over to an interim GM to do so? See what I mean? I mean,
no, I understand what you're saying. I guess the way I would look at it is this: if I'm Mike Ilitch or Chris Ilitch, whoever it is that's going to make the decision from this point on regarding the Red Wings hierarchy, get all those people, somebody that you might think would be an interim player, and have him in the room with Ken Holland while you're listening to both. And if they're on the same page, they're on the same page. But if you want to fire Ken Holland, then fire Ken Holland. But I don't think you need to do that now. You do that at the end of the season if that's what you want to do.
Right, but I
guess...
If
that's what you've determined. But I understand what you're saying. But the decision's now. Everyone's going to say sell. I don't think there's anybody out there that wouldn't say sell. It makes all the sense in the world. You've got some commodities on this team that other teams would like to have. Thomas Vanek and Mike Green are two players that other teams would like to have. And if you can unload a goaltender, I think that there's a marketplace for that as well. And you've got 11 games the Red Wings will play until the trade deadline. Out of those 11 games, there are not many that are against the teams that are ahead of you. So obviously, it's not going to be easy to make up ground on the teams in front of you because
because there's nobody behind them.
Well, they're playing the other conference.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's a point west.
Yeah.
They're playing the other way.
There literally is nobody behind them in the Eastern Conference.
So everybody knows what they have to do. But during this 11 games, Jimmy Howard's been skating. Let's hope that he's healthy enough and maybe he can showcase his wares real soon. And give the Red Wings an indication what they want to do. Maybe they want to hang out with Jimmy Howard, and maybe Peter Mrazek's got more trade value. Maybe Jared Coro's got trade value. You know what I'm saying? They still have some options to figure out before the trade deadline. I don't think they don't need to make a move right now. Take all the time. I think you'll get the biggest bang for your buck probably on the day of the trade deadline. It's usually how it works. But your question about who should make that decision, that's a completely valid question. And I guess the way that I'm looking at it is, if I'm going to have an interim guy or I'm going to have Ken Holland, I want to hear from both of them at the same time and to see where they're at.
Well, if you bring in, so what you're saying is,
without them knowing, you know what I mean?
Bring in Mike Ilitch calls in Ken Holland and says, "Look, I want to sell. What is your belief in what we can get for what we have to offer?"
Right.
What conversations have you had? Who's called you? And then you bring in, you mentioned Chris Draper, who's the special assistant to Ken Holland. You bring in Chris Draper and you say, "I want to sell. If you're in charge, what can you get done?" And see if their plans match up, or
right.
See if
are they on the same page or not?
Or is Draper going to tell you honestly? Well, first of all, will one of them battle you? Will one of them say we shouldn't sell? And what they think they can get. Now, what they think they can get and what they actually can get might be two completely different things. But it's funny because these are two big picture questions. One of the big picture questions is, should they buy, sell, or stand pat? And I mean, I'm sorry, the argument to buy, I find it hard that anybody around Detroit will buy that. Red Wing fans, and maybe I'm wrong, if you think they should buy and add and try and keep the playoff streak alive and go for it, then that's fine. You can share the reasons as to why. But, the argument to sell is, either would Draper or Holland fight you on that? And would they be able to promise some stuff? Because that's the bigger question, is who's making the call. So we have a big question, buy or sell, and a bigger question, who's doing your dealing? Because you're not, do you think somebody that's got a great resume is going to leave another organization right now to come be the Red Wings GM?
Maybe. It's a pretty great organization here.
It is, but in the middle of a season, from a team that's
not in the middle of the
season.
Success? No, I'm sorry, not in the middle of the season. You have to wait for the end of the season, and then you could hire somebody away. But if that's what you want to do, if you want to move on from Ken Holland, here's what's interesting.
You can't trade Vanek at the end of the season.
No, and real quick, the interesting thing I think with Ken Holland is that he's never been in this position before where he's had to sell off a piece. I'm curious to see what he could land in return, because he's always been the guy to give up stuff while getting stuff.
248-539-9797. Ticket text 97136. All right, Red Wing fans, you can get us your 2 cents on the sell question. There was a lot of speculation about it in the papers over the weekend. And additionally, who makes that call? Who makes that call? 97.1 The Ticket.